What is up, Karma Nation? Welcome here to the Super Bowl special. We have Super Bowl LIV, LIV, with Bales and Chris, who absolutely hate these introductions, hate these intros. They never like what I say. But we're going to be talking about their favorite bets, whether it's prop bets, the over-under, who they just think is going to win, Gatorade colors, the whole 9 yards. We want to make sure that before we get started, give a shout out to our title sponsors at DraftKings. Now, if you have a DraftKings account, which I'm sure everybody in the country already has one, but if you don't, or even if you do, go to betkarma.com and then sign up. Click the head banner. You can sign up and get a $1,000 bonus. And then also on their DFS side, if you go to dfskarma.com, click on that head banner, you can join a $3,000 free roll, fantasy sports free roll on DraftKings. Their fantasy sports side of things, where you literally don't have to pay anything. Even if you sign for a new account today, don't have to deposit. Just click the link, join it, and then first place it's $1,000, just like that. So, like I said, we're going to be talking about what their favorite bets are. This is a live stream, so if you guys have questions about certain bets that you're leaning towards, you want to get their insight on it, just ask it in the chat, and we'll get to it one at a time here. And, of course, no matter which channel you're following us on, whether it's YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Periscope, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever you're watching the stream on, go ahead and subscribe to it so you don't miss the other DFS and betting podcast and streams. With that being said, let's get things started. Chris, I'm going to start with you. Who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl, and why?
I was talking to Bales a little bit about it. I've been on the.
I just wanted to see like a shoulder shrug. I don't know, and they're like, okay, Bales, your turn.
I keep leaning towards the Chiefs. I mean, you gotta love Mahomes in this spot. Generally, when you're not, the way I look at things, if you're confused, who's the better quarterback, and your better quarterback is coming, Patrick Mahomes. Obviously, Jimmy has been asked to do a lot in the playoffs. They've been running the ball. The Chiefs' defense, held up decently against Derrick Henry. So if they can get up a little bit, San Francisco can't be as dynamic with their running game. The thing that sways me a little bit is San Francisco does play, a solid defense, similar to the Chargers defense that gave the Chiefs some trouble in the regular season. I think he only had one touchdown pass against San Diego in each game they played, interception in each game. And San Francisco kind of, I'm not saying they have the exact same defense. They have a better defense than San Diego. So that scares me off a little bit. When it comes down to just straight QB, I mean, you gotta lean Patrick Mahomes. I mean, he does some things that you can't plan for as a defense. And they have, some of the fastest guys in the league offensively. So it's just a matter of, can the Chiefs get up? If they get up, I think that San Francisco is going to have to use a little bit more passing attack and can't just rely on the running game. My biggest thing is when you're going into the Super Bowl, and we've talked about it. I know Brett and Zach have done it. Bales, which we're on the Discord chat, is if you like a team and they go down, it's great to live bet because you're getting way better odds. In the last two games, the Chiefs played, they were down a bunch against Texas. People were getting 19 points, I think, for the Chiefs, and they end up coming back and winning by 19. Last game they went down twice, and you were able to get the Chiefs plus 5.5, I believe, in a money line. I think I took them at minus 130 and hammered it for an easy what, as opposed to taking them when they were 7-point favorites. So sometimes it's worth hanging, seeing what happens, see what team kind of goes down early. If you like San Francisco and they go down early, maybe live bet them at plus 5.5 to 7, kind of see where it goes. But as of now, I'm leaning towards the Chiefs. I'm not overly nervous about the public being on it. About 50%, 59% of the bets are going there in the money. If I see that number hit about 70, then I got to probably, look at it a little deeper on that side of things. What do you think, Bales?
I originally, when the line first came out, I put a bet on the Chiefs immediately at minus 1.5. And if you think that they're going to win, feel free to lay the 1.5. The chances that they win by 1 are slim to none. It's just never worth it to really take the money line in that situation. Since then, I've gone back and forth. Honestly, I feel like I wish that I would have rather just waited and hoped that San Fran scored first and grabbed the Chiefs after the touchdown. But when you look at it, I mean, Kansas City is just their offense is so good that I don't really think that San Francisco is going to be able to keep up with them. And if you're relying that heavily on Jimmy Garoppolo, who I don't think is an overly good quarterback, I think he's about average, and the style of play is completely fine. But I don't think that when you get in a shootout with a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, I don't think that Garoppolo and essentially Kittle and Samuel, because I don't really trust too many other guys. You'll see later in the stream that I really like Kendrick Bourne this weekend, but realistically, I don't trust their receivers too much. So I would also have to lean with just the pure fact that Mahomes can do stuff that basically no other quarterback in the league can do. And when you look at it, Kansas City did pretty much shut down Derrick Henry. So I'm not overly concerned. I really like most. They're like probably a lot more than most people do. But I wouldn't be overly concerned that San Fran is just going to be able to ride out 4 quarters. It's just not that likely against this defense.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough game. It should be a fun game. You're looking at over under around 54.5, 55, depending on where you're looking right now. I mean, you would think with both teams that we're going to get to that number. You got to put Kansas City down for 30 points probably, right? And then you're talking if it's a close game. San Francisco is going to be in the game, 25 points. I mean, that's pretty feasible. I think we'll be in the 60s. I'm leaning towards the over on that side. Any thoughts on the over-under?
Yeah, lean over. Just because if you look at San Fran's game, they're like known for a defensive team too. But realistically, they scored 37 against the Packers. Before that, it was 27-26. They scored 34. They dropped 48 on the Saints. Like, they have a real offense. And just because they utilize their run so much doesn't mean, I guess, that they have to. I do think that if this game turns into a shootout, that's most likely where the Chiefs are at. So with the total being relatively high, I feel like it makes me lean to the Chiefs even more, though.
So that was my question that I had was regarding the 54.5 is, I guess this is a question for both of you, is if that's going under, one team has to be like, not shut out like 0, but one team has to be so strong defensively, because I feel like there can't be a close. I don't think there's a scenario where there's a close game and the under goes. And so, correct me if I'm wrong, but wouldn't the 54.5 be like we're already putting Chiefs at a high number? So San Francisco, of course, would need to be, their butt kicked offensively, or I guess defensively on the Kansas City side. But I don't see any other scenario besides San Francisco getting, just hammered off on the defensive side for Kansas City, because I don't. Do you think that San Francisco has a chance to go up, 30 points, score 30 points on their end, and then actually have Kansas City, shut out on their end? Do you think that's feasible in any aspect?
No.
No, I think it goes one of two ways. If it shoots out, Kansas City wins, and if it's a defensive game, San Fran probably wins. So, like, you could even play the spreads and totals, where you can take like San Fran spread and under or Kansas City spread and over, just because like when you're looking at those type of games, like you can pretty much tell which team will likely win either a shootout or a slow pace grinded out game. Like, they're two distinct offenses.
So got to factor in the Andy Reid, just jacking up big time games. He struggles with time management, so it's a close game. I think San Francisco probably ends up pulling it out. Hopefully he's made up for it. I mean, he's a really good offensive mind. If you watch some of those games, even like the Super Bowl, I think Donovan McNabb was out the night before the game, and he's like throwing up on the field. They didn't. He's trying to come back, and the guy puked on the field, I believe. And then in those championship games, you're struggling with time management. So even when they were playing the Texans early in the game, I'm going, oh man, Andy Reid's jacking this game up again. Like, what's going on? Then they'll come back and crushing. I would tend to favor more of like a Texans game, similar type game this weekend. I know San Francisco defense is good, and they tend to let some more pass interference go in the playoffs. But usually in the Super Bowl, it's a tightly called game. So Richard Sherman's grabbing things like that. He can't keep up with whoever he's guarding. I mean, you're talking if he's guarding Hill, who runs a 4.2. Hardman runs a 4.28. Sammy Watkins runs a 4.3. Travis Kelce. I mean, someone's going to go off for a receiver. So,
Well, Bales, and the article you just posted on DFS Karma, you were saying that Sherman's going to be not. I don't know if you said shadowing, but you said he's going to be on Robinson.
No, he generally doesn't shadow. I think he did actually shadow a little bit with Devontae Adams last week. So if they have him shadow, I would assume it's on Tyreek Hill. The only issue is he's just not really the type of corner that is going to shut down Hill. So I would assume that he just sticks on the left side for the most, at least for like 85 to 90% of this game. And if that's the case, he'll play the majority of his snaps against DeMarcus Robinson.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if he shadows Hill, Hill's going to be the Super Bowl MVP. I mean, there's not many guys that can keep up with him in the league, and Sherman at 30 years old isn't going to be able to keep up with him. If you see that early on, you probably could bet live odds on Tyreek Hill for a little bit of money for MVP. I mean, the guy's a freak. You saw even in that one touchdown he scored 2 weeks ago. He's got an edge. There's some guys got an angle, and he just runs by 3 NFL linebackers that are there. He just has elite speed that you can't count on. So I think it's hard to stop them. I mean, as they're a team that's like shut down Kansas City this year offensively and not a ton. I mean, they get out there when they get in bad spots. Then Mahomes throws, a left-handed pass or a no-look pass to get Travis Kelce going. I would look for them to really bracket Kelce and Hill, and then you're looking at Watkins, Hardman, or Robinson getting a majority of the passes. So, and even them, you got they've been running the ball a little bit more efficiently and stopping the run. So they keep talking myself into Kansas City. I don't foresee myself not betting Kansas City as of now. So
I'm gonna start pulling up some props here, and you guys can go ahead and put your 2 cents on it. The one that I was looking at just now was Garoppolo over under 1.5 touchdowns. Now we're both agreeing that if San Francisco is going to win this game, it's going to be, what I'm saying is we already know that Kansas City Chiefs are going to be putting up points. Even if San Francisco wins, it's going to be in a shootout. So with it was like 5 pass attempts or 5 completions that Jimmy had last week or something like that, where 1.5 over touchdowns. Just based on, especially you saying that they were stuffing Derrick Henry, the Titans last week, and then stuffing Mostert this week potentially. Were we leaning towards the 1.5 on the Jimmy prop?
Bales, you're a prop guy. Why don't you answer that one on Jimmy G?
What's the juice on the over?
It's equal, 50-50.
I probably take you.
And you said 1.5 or 2.5?
1.5.
I would take the over on that. I think he has 27 touchdowns on the year, I believe.
Juice, it's 112 each way, but yeah, even.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I think I would go with the over. I'm assuming you have to think about what these teams are going to do, and when you're in the Super Bowl, what are you going to do against San Francisco? You're going to sell out to stop the run because you just saw what they did with the run. So Garoppolo is going to have to win this game for San Fran, I would assume. And realistically, he could just throw a couple of touchdowns. Even if they ride the running backs down to the red zone, he could just kind of fall his way into 2 touchdowns.
Absolutely. I would take the over in that.
So next one here, going to the running backs. Raheem, over under 77.5 rushing yards. The over is minus 106, and the under is minus 118, getting 12 extra points there. What do you guys think?
What was it set at?
Raheem, 77.5 rushing yards.
Yeah, I'll take the under. I think that's just more indicative of him coming off like a 220-yard game against Green Bay. Because when you look at his games prior to that, the last time he ran for even over 70 yards was against the Ravens. And then before that, it was the 3rd week of the season. Like, he's only done it 3 times this year, I believe. 4 times this year. And like I said, I expect Kansas City to sell out against the run. If that's the case, he's not really going to be that effective. And realistically, he's not a player that's going to get 30 carries in this game. They're going to, and if, let's say Tevin Coleman gets hot early, we've seen Shanahan just hand the ball off to whoever is doing well. So I feel like there's so many factors that point more towards the under than the over there.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at a team that uses multiple running backs and expect that he's going to go that much when Kansas City knows they have to force Jimmy to pass. I would take the under 77.
Moving to receivers now, I know that you just posted an article on DFS Karma side of things about the matchup, so I know you look a lot into that. So before I give you any receiver name or look at any of the props over under they're set at, just at face value, who is a receiver on either side, or receiver tight end or whatever, on either side that you think is someone who is, without looking at what they're set at, has a chance just based on the matchup or whatever it may be of going over, and then I'll bring up what their yardage is, and you can comment on that. But who's just someone based on just the data?
I tend to lean to somebody that hasn't crushed the playoffs. Like if you look at tendencies in the Super Bowl, you're trying to take away number one options. I'm looking at like a Sammy Watkins to have a big game where he catches a bunch of balls. Maybe Tyreek Hill. I think they're really going to focus on Kelsey. If you've seen the last couple of games when they got tight, Kelsey was the play. I got a feeling that Sammy Watkins is going to have maybe 5 or 6 receptions in this game.
I'll take Kendrick Bourne. His totals are going to be way too low. He only saw 1 target last week, but Green Bay is really, really good against the slot, and Kansas City isn't. So,
okay.
I mean, realistically, his stuff's going to be set way too low.
All right. So, Chris, for you, Watkins is at 50.5. You still think you're going over on 5-6 receptions unless he's getting wide receiver screens. I'm pretty sure your 5 or 6 puts him over 50.5, right?
Yeah. I think go over on that. Is a good play because what are you planning on doing as a defender? They're going to rush QB as hard as they can, cover Kelsey, cover Hill. So there's going to be opportunity for one-on-one, and Watkins when he's on is a really top-notch receiver.
Then Bales, Kendrick Bourne is at 23.5. I'm pretty sure that's an automatic yes for you.
Yeah, I'll take over on that.
All right, let's move on to.
Write that one down.
Let's see if there's any defense or kicker props here we're gonna look at. Total tackles. Is there anybody? Do you think has a? I haven't looked at any names for the sacks here, but is there anybody who? Oh, here you go. Here's a prop. So player to record most sacks. Is there anybody that pops up in your head? So right now we have the top 4. There's 3 people that are really close. Sorry, 5 people that are really close. So we have Frank Clark at 500, Bosa at 550, Chris Jones, and it says 1994. So I guess there's 2 Chris Jones. The one that was born in 1994. I'm guessing that's what that means. Eric Armstead 600 and D Ford at 600. So out of those 5, Frank Clark, Bosa, Chris Jones, Eric Armstead, and D Ford. I don't know if Chris, if you have a bunch of defensive.
I mean, why not take Bosa there? Mahomes going to drop back, and he's fast enough to kind of keep up with Mahomes. He's probably going to at least get one. It's probably more of a, Frank. If they only throw it 10 times, it's hard to get sacked. So I would take San Francisco for sure, and take a stab probably with Bosa. Would probably be my top pick.
What about you, Bales?
Yeah. Honestly, probably Bosa. I think if you want Armstead, maybe, but I would probably just take Bosa because I don't know. The kind of player like him seems to show up in these big games. I think he has like 3 sacks in the playoffs so far, which is just 2 games. And realistically, there's not too many players that have a legit chance at multiple sacks in a game. He's one of them. So you kind of need to just look at that. And I feel like that puts him out as the front runner.
All right. So with that being said, I just pulled up Nick Bosa to record a sack. His over-under right now is half of a sack, and his over is at plus 117. So you're saying that if you would pick him to have the most sacks out of those 5 guys who are Vegas
Yeah.
odds to get the most, then you would definitely go with the plus 115 to get for him to get at least one. Then, right?
Yeah, why not? I mean, he's gonna have 25 to 30 opportunities. I'm assuming Mahomes throws between 25 and 30 times in that game, minimum.
Yeah, I mean, if that's your game plan, I don't really have any problems. But realistically, neither of these quarterbacks take many sacks. I think Mahomes, he played 14 games and took 17. Garoppolo played all 16. He took 36. So I mean, it's not like either quarterback is going to get sacked like 6 or 7 times this week.
A half sack. Again, he needs some warning here. I'm not a props guy like Bales. I'm just listening to what Travis says, jumping on.
So let's go to the MVP here. So if Kansas City wins MVP, who's the MVP?
Mahomes.
Both of you guys on that. All right. And then for San Francisco, if San Francisco beats Kansas City with the kind of game script you see happening in that situation, who is the MVP for San Francisco?
Garoppolo.
Do you think that's automatic based on the fact that they have to keep up with the offense?
If you have to keep up, you're going to rely on your quarterback. They're just not going to run for 4 or 5 touchdowns, I don't think, honestly. And even if they do and they kind of split them and Garoppolo throws for 2 or something, they'll still give it to the quarterback. I think the only other player that you should really be looking at is Deebo Samuel, because he could, say, catch 2 touchdowns. And then if they run a trick play where he runs one in, I feel like it might put an edge on him slightly over Garoppolo just for the kind of game that it would be.
Makes sense to me. Yeah, I mean, they tend to lean towards the QB anyway. So if Garoppolo wins and has a halfway decent game, they usually get the nod.
Add in that you don't know which of the 3 running backs is even going to score. So it just makes predicting the running backs that much more difficult.
So I'm trying to remember. You guys are both on Kansas City to win this game, straight up, right?
Yes.
With that said, I just looked at the some novelty props here. So there's like a mini parlay of coin flip being heads. Well, actually, no matter if it's heads or tails, just the coin flip outcome plus Kansas City Chiefs to win. No. Listen, no, wait.
Nope.
Listen.
I'm telling you right now, you're laying extra juice on either heads or tails. At best, it's a 50-50 shot. There's no reason to bet that.
Okay. Listen to the payout though.
No.
Heads
don't care.
Heads in Kansas City is plus 255. Tails in Kansas City is plus 255.
I'll parlay Kansas City with something else to get those odds. I'm not. You're starting the game with just a 50-50 shot, and you're losing money.
There's so many people that there's so many people out there. There's just their only bet is going to be the coin flip. So they'd be like, okay, screw it. I'm gonna keep drinking or whatever.
Those are the guys that pay for Vegas to be built.
Yeah.
So there's one or two more things I want to get to here, but so I want to go back to the MVP here. So you're both saying that no matter who wins, just based on game script, quarterback, of course, both sides for the MVP champ, but let's remove the quarterbacks out of it. So if quarterbacks don't get the MVP, and let's just keep it with Kansas City or San Francisco winning, I'll start with you, Bales. Who are your 2 MVPs on each side, non-QB?
Non-QB. For that to even potentially happen, we would need a low-scoring game. I will take Joey Bosa because he will have had to blow that game up, and I don't even know for.
Travis, name the last non-QB MVP.
Julian Edelman.
Right. Last year. You think that's going to happen again? Ray Lewis in 2009, or what was that? When did they win that? Didn't he win MVP when they beat the San Francisco?
Bosa's actually got the 8th best odds to win out of all players.
That's because if somehow this game ends 3-0, they have to give it to defense.
Richard Sherman would have to play out of his mind. He has 2 interceptions. One goes back to the house.
Let's be honest. If Kansas City wins this, Patrick Mahomes is the MVP. I don't think it matters what he does.
I think you're just wasting your money, but somebody other than a QB, maybe a receiver. Usually it goes to offensive guys. It's really hard defensively to get the MVP in the Super Bowl.
All right, so before we get to the last part here, for you guys that are watching the stream or watching the replay of it, I just want to recap real quick. So you both are heavily siding on the over 54.5, just based on game script. The Bale's love for Bourne is heavily on the over for receiving yards. You're both leaning. What?
I'm going to steal that and play it.
Yeah, and then we're both on Bosa over 1 sack. So before we get to this last part here, each of you can chime in. Something we haven't touched on, whether it's prop or any kind of bet that you have made or you're looking at and you're in love with. What is your number one thing you're in love with that we haven't touched on yet? Bales, will start with you.
Yeah, I mean, there's a play that I really like. Over 2.5 players to attempt to pass. You get it at plus 124. Just a few reasons. One, teams are getting way more creative with their offense. If you watch throughout the season, it's like anytime you need a big play, they run like wide receiver end around with a quarterback leaking out. It was basically the Philly special, but not as intricate before, where it wasn't even a real formation. But anyway, which could get any realistically running back or wide receiver a pass. A quarterback could get hurt. It literally just says over 2.5 players. If one of the two QBs gets hurt and someone comes in even for just a throw, they're good there. And then just to like show that teams are just getting more creative, 4 of the last 6 Super Bowls had a team or had 3 or more players attempt to pass. One of them technically doesn't count. Ted Ginn got sacked, so he didn't throw it, but I'm still counting it just for this situation because in 4 of the last 6 Super Bowls, there's been a third person that has had the ball in their hand looking to throw it.
So go ahead, Chris. What is your favorite non-touchdown yet bet of Super Bowl LIV?
A lot of juice on it. I was looking at it. I like San Francisco first quarter. Kansas City tends to come out flat and are down in the first quarter and they're coming back. So it's minus 153. So it's a little bit of juice there. So I'd probably lay the juice or take the over 10 in the first quarter. Is something I'm looking at. But definitely, I like San Francisco in the first quarter. Hopefully, the line will come down a little bit, or even get it at -1, so the juice will come down to minus 130 or something like that. I try not to bet over 130 on juice, so 153 is a little steep for me. But over
DraftKings
10
actually has that first quarter at 167 right now.
All right, over 10 in the first quarter at minus 125, like that.
Okay. 9.5. All right, so moving on to the last bit here. Nothing to do with Super Bowl LIV, but the champion of next season, which odds are currently out, of course, all sports books.
Oh, jeez.
2021 champion, based on things you've seen this season, and of course in the playoffs. Who is your pick to win? So when it happens, we can go back to this pod, this live stream, and be like, remember that time when Bales called this champion and it happened? So let's say it right now.
Good thinking.
Bales, go ahead. Let's give something people to rewind this pod about.
Yeah, about that. Didn't research this. You guys didn't know.
I was just going to assume Packers.
This one's for you, Cleveland Browns. No, I can't do it. They're done.
Oh man,
every year.
Cleveland, yeah.
I'll take the Chiefs to win back-to-back Super Bowls.
Okay. Plus,
I will. Who? What are the Ravens odds?
Chiefs are 600. Ravens are 800.
Yeah, I'll take the Ravens on that.
Ricky will love you for that.
Yeah, I did it just for him.
That's for you, Ricky. You my boy, Blue. All right, and so follow up to that, the last bit of the 2021 champion is what team that did not make the playoffs do you think, if out of all of those teams, so every single team in the NFL did not make the playoffs, if you're picking one of those teams to not only make the playoffs but make a Super Bowl run, who's a non-playoff team based on what you've seen this year, not based on free agency or draft, just based on what you've seen this year, a non-playoff team that you think has a chance at a Super Bowl run next year?
How about just playoff run? Like get to the playoffs?
Well, let's say get to the Super Bowl. So not maybe not win, just get to the Super Bowl. A run to the Super Bowl. Non-playoff team.
Non-playoff. 'Cause, 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 'cause
Keep you on your toes.
All right, I'll go with something ridiculous.
All right.
I will take this in the exact same way San Fran did it. The Washington Redskins. They have their young quarterback. They're getting Chase Young. Same way Nick Bosa changes the game. We know Chase Young will. Ron Rivera's in. We that now have a good head coach. And assuming Geis is even slightly healthy, they can kind of run him into the ground even more.
And I love that they are the least favored odds team to do so, which is
they're
15,000.
gonna end up going about 2-14.
I know,
but it's a fun suggestion.
But for that part, before you just said the 2-14 part, we're gonna clip out the first part where you seem very confident in them winning. So if it happens, you'll be like, remember that time when Bills called that plus 15,000? And then go ahead, Chris. What's your non-playoff win?
Thinking logically, you got to look at teams that aren't in teams with really good divisions. So I think the Bills will be good again, and you'll get the Patriots. I mean, they tend to make the playoffs every year, so somebody from that division's gone. The West is hard to go through. Seattle and now San Francisco. I like Arizona to win a handful of games next year to grow and get better. What about when Carolina picks up Teddy Bridgewater and goes to the playoffs next year? What do you think?
That won't be bad.
You got Teddy Bridgewater sitting out there. If they can get him, I like Carolina.
I like that with Matt Rule in now. I like that.
Saying Teddy Bridgewater ends up at Carolina. You heard it here first.
Oh man,
I have no inside information on that. That's just a wild guess. And I think you got Bridgewater, you can work around with McCaffrey. I think they can make a run. I think the Saints take a step back next year, even if Drew Brees comes in, stays in there, and who knows what the heck Atlanta's going to be. So you got to take somebody usually from the South, from the NFC South, kind of flip flops, and you get a new team coming through. So I'm going to go with Carolina.
Now I couldn't find any odds for this, and I don't know if it's I haven't looked at the news in like the last week on it, but what are the not I'm gonna say what are the odds, but Bales, I've seen a lot of things recently. Before a couple of days ago, like I said, I'm not up to date on them. I was trying to Google it here on Tom Brady returning to the Patriots, about all this stuff, how he's moving. He's moved his family to Connecticut or whatever. What are the chances, or do you think there's good chances? I don't need numbers, but I would say what are the odds, but I feel like that's asking for numbers. What are the odds of him not returning to the Patriots? Are they pretty high, pretty low? What do you think of all of this chit chatter around that?
Low odds of him not returning to the Patriots for multiple reasons. One, he said he's not done. You're not just going to let Tom Brady walk away from your franchise. Let's be real. They don't have another quarterback. It's not like they have someone waiting where the Packers had Aaron Rodgers where they could push Favre out. That isn't the situation. And two, doesn't Tom Brady put his house up for sale every single year? It's the same thing every year. And every year someone's like, oh, Tom Brady's moving. I guess he's leaving New England. And then every year Tom Brady is still with New England.
Yeah, I think he's moving. I think Giselle likes being closer to New York City. So maybe it's time for Tom just to travel whatever team he's playing for. I mean, you would think he'd come back to the Patriots, but who thought Montana was ever going to leave San Francisco? But I guess they had Steve Young there, to Bale's point. I would say if he comes back, he's got to play for the Patriots, you would think.
So the only way he doesn't play for the Patriots next season if he just retires.
I don't see him playing for anyone else.
Okay. I would think. But Belichick, if Belichick had his way, he would, if he had a guy, he would, look at the numbers and get rid of Tom Brady. But, it's tough with Kraft there. He's the one paying the bills. So I think he has a little bit of pull in that. So if Tom wants to play, he'll play with the Patriots.
All right. So with that being said, that wraps up our Super Bowl prop and non-prop special. No matter what channel you're watching this on, I just want to repeat again, make sure you subscribe to us. So if you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe to YouTube. Even if you're not watching this on YouTube, go to the YouTube, type in Bet Karma in the search. It'll pop up, Karma Media Network. And you guys can go ahead and subscribe to that channel where all of our live streams populate on. Now, if you need to recap all of the other bets, if you're watching the replay, it is replayable, so you just rewind, fast forward, bounce around as much as you want to in these, 38 minutes we've had. And then, of course, if you want to get all of the expert bets and all of the props and all of the models, everything we have on BetKarma, sign up for the MVP package. Go to betkarma.com. You can either go into the website and click on the upgrade icon, or you just go to betkarma.com/premium, sign up for MVP. You can get our NBA prop predictor that we just launched this week. That's already on already starting off with a back-to-back winning record. You get all the expert bets across all sports, horses, college basketball, which of course in 2 months is going to take over the world as it always does. NFL bets for the Super Bowl if you sign up in time, and NBA and everything else under the sun. So we appreciate you guys for checking us out here. Good luck for the Super Bowl, and I was gonna say it doesn't matter who wins. The Patriots aren't winning it, so that's all that matters to me.
Yeah. Hop on, check out Bales and basketball with Greg. Myself jumps in there on a hot run right now, so get on in, get some good plays, and I think I was telling Bales, I think I'm up 20 units in the last two weeks on college basketball. So jump in.
No, I was going to say, on that note, I was like, yeah, so we've always had fun with college basketball with March Madness, in the, I don't know how many years that I've known Bales now, 3 or 4, I feel like. But this is the first time since BetKarma launched at the end of last year that we have this established. And, oh, man, we, meaning the BetKarma brain, is going to destroy March Madness. So definitely keep your eyes peeled for that here in a couple months. But yeah, thanks for checking us out, guys, and we will see you next time.